Hello, hello! In this video today, I will be talking about the top 10 very common mistakes that ESL learners tend to make and how we can fix them. Number 1, confusing our pronouns he, she, and him, her. So this one is extremely common. It is hard for ESL learners to know exactly when we should use he versus him or she versus her. So I see this all the time. People mix these up. So the way we know which is which, she and he, we use them as the subject in the sentence. For example, she is walking in the park, or he is running at his school. So we know these basic ways to use he and she, but him and her, we use them differently in the sentence. So we use these as the object, not the subject. So for example, we could say, I saw him at the park, or I saw her walking by my house. So when we use him or her, they're used in the third person, so somebody else is talking about that person, and they are used as the object in this sentence. So we cannot say, her is playing football, right? We need to use she. That is wrong. Or we cannot say, I saw he at the store today. Again, this is incorrect. We need to use the proper pronouns depending on if they are the subject or the object in a sentence. Number 2, skipping the third person S at the end of the verb. So, for example, she ate breakfast this morning. This is incorrect, right? We need the S at the end of the verb eat. So we need to make sure that we are writing and that we are pronouncing that S sound as well. So we would say instead, she eats her breakfast at 8 a.m. this morning. So please remember, we need that S. A lot of ESL learners, they forget about this little letter because it is only one letter, and in many other languages, we do not use an S for this. So it is very, very confusing and the most easily forgotten part of English grammar. Number 3, using the wrong verb tense. So this is probably the most common error that I see personally. It is very difficult to understand how we use all of our different verb tenses and in what specific situations, what words we need for them. So it's very common to mix them up, basically. So simply, we have the present tense, which means now. Then we have the past tense, which means the day before or yesterday, a week ago. So in the past, it's already happened, we're already finished with that action. And then we have the future, what we will be doing tomorrow, the next week, next year, and so on. Those are our 3 main ones. But then within each of them, we have the present simple, the present continuous, and present perfect, right? So that's where it gets a bit confusing. But for example, if you were talking about something that happened yesterday, we cannot use is, right? We cannot say, I is at the store yesterday. We need to use was. I was at the store yesterday. Again, same thing with the future. If you are talking about something you're going to do tomorrow, and you say, I go to school tomorrow. This is incorrect. We need will. I will go to school tomorrow. So it's very, very common. Students, they will either miss those key words, the little words is, are, were, or they will just completely mix up the present continuous versus past continuous and so on. So please remember, practice your verb tenses. If you are talking about something happening now, make sure that you know how to put that into a sentence. The same thing with the past and future tense. Number 4, countable versus uncountable nouns. Now, some of these can be quite tricky, but generally speaking, we cannot say, how much apples do you have? Incorrect, right? We need to say, how many apples. So with our countable nouns, we can count apples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So with our countable nouns, we need to use many, not much. And then with our uncountable nouns, we cannot use many, we have to use much. So with the uncountable noun, something we cannot count, like rice, for example. So if you have rice, we can count them in a bag of rice, but we do not count each rice separately. So you would say, how much rice do you have? Not how many rice do you have? That's incorrect. So make sure you understand what things we can count by numbers. Those we use many. The things that we cannot count with our fingers, we use much. Number 5 is the incorrect word order in a sentence. So again, this is tricky to master because we have such a large variety of different sentence structures you can use. But for an example, when we change a statement into a question, we will switch the subject and verb positions in the sentence. So for example, if you are asking someone about how they feel, if you say, you are tired, this is incorrect, right? We need to switch you and are. So we would say, are you tired? Not you are tired. We have to switch and put the are first. The same thing with do. Do you need something? We cannot say, you do need something. Again, this is the wrong order for questions. So we need to understand when we ask a question and when we say a statement, these use different word orders. They do not use the same order of words when we are making the sentences, when we are speaking. Again, super common error, but it's very easy to fix as well. Number 6, misusing a versus an. So a we use with words that do not start with a vowel. They start with a consonant letter instead. And then we use an with our vowels. Remember, vowels in English, they are letters like A, O, E, U, and I. So if you have a word that starts with an A, for example, apple, we would say an apple, not a apple. Again, that's incorrect use. So make sure, again, that you know. You just have to look at the next letter in the next word. Is it one of the letters that is a vowel? A, E, O, U, I. Or is it any other letter? If it's any of the other letters, it is a consonant and you use a. If it is one of the vowel letters, you use an. Number 7, using the ing endings after can. So again, with the question, we cannot put the ing here. For example, can we swimming? No, it's incorrect. It doesn't make sense. We just put the base verb form instead. Can we swim? That's it. So a lot of people mix this up because they think of the verb in the present continuous tense, which does include the ing. But again, when we're asking questions with this word can in the beginning, we never ever put the ing at the end of the verb, just the base form. Number 7, using the wrong preposition. Again, super easy to mix up our prepositions. We have so many of them in English, but they are at, in, on, during, over, on top of, below, all of our position words. These are our prepositions. So for example, if you say, she is good in math, this is incorrect. We need to change in and say at instead. She is good at math. This is correct. So it's hard to memorize all of our prepositions, honestly, but you just need to practice them enough so that you know exactly when we use at, when we use on, when we use in, and then it will be very easy for you to master these prepositions. It does take a bit of memorization. Number 9, translating idioms literally for their literal meanings. So for example, an idiom like, he gave me the green light. So nobody is giving you anything. Nobody is going to give you any light. This just means that you have permission to do whatever you want or need to do, right? So remember, our idioms are never taken at the literal meaning level. It's always metaphorical, which means that there is another meaning that is not actually from the words in the definition. So when you are learning idioms, you cannot just sit there with a dictionary and translate back and forth into your own language. You need to learn the idiom for its metaphorical meaning, and then you can translate that metaphorical meaning into your own language if that's helpful. And number 10, thinking in your own language first. So, for example, a sentence like, she is 30 years old. In some languages, they would say, she has 30 years old. So, for example, in Spanish and French, they will change the word order. So, if you are translating directly from your language to English, and then back from English to your native language, this can cause problems if you copy exactly what the translation is, because a lot of the times the word order is changed around, or we end up using the wrong word, the wrong vocabulary, the wrong grammar as well. A lot of mistakes actually happen from directly translating things. So, by all means, you can use a translator if you need it, but you need to be careful. You need to be aware and mindful that the translation that you get might not actually be the correct sentence form in English. So you might have to change it once you translate it into English language. So please keep that in mind. It is a very common mistake, as all of these are, but we can fix it very easily too. We just need to remember to take a second look at the translation and fix whatever errors we might have. So there you have it. Those are my top 10 most common mistakes that ESL learners make and how we can fix them. I hope this video was helpful for all of you, and thank you all so much for your support as always. Have a great day. Goodbye.